Hope everybody's doing well today. Hope everybody's doing, it's going to have a good weekend. So share this broadcast on your Facebook page. Invite your friends to tune in also. An African-American business owners post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast. So I saw this story break live in the news today and saw it on MSNBC and read some articles from the Washington Post, NBC News, ABC. And I talked about this story extensively when it broke back in March of 2019, the college admissions scandal. It was an FBI investigation known as Operation Varsity Blues. Well, we see that Felicity Huffman, who was a co-star in the TV show Desperate Housewives, we see Felicity Huffman was sentenced today to 14 days in jail, a $30,000 fine, and 250 hours of community service. Okay, so we're going to talk some about this and break down this case. And this is a very, very interesting case. And the reason why is because it deals with privilege, and especially it deals with privilege, it deals with wealth, but most of the parents who were caught in this scheme and charged the majority of them were white parents, and they were wealthy, and they are paying for their children to have access. Okay, they're paying to have college test scores, SAT scores, things like this changed. In this scandal also, they were paying to have their children get, they were faking their children actually playing a sport to get a scholarship to go to college also. Okay, so this was the largest bust of its kind. Okay, and this really exposed a lot of the hypocrisy that we see taking place when it comes to college admissions. Okay, and then also I'm going to talk a little bit about the case of Kelly Williams Bowler, who was sentenced to prison. And Kelly Williams Bowler, I talked about the story a few years ago. What she did is that she illegally, according to the prosecution, she illegally enrolled her child into a school and claimed that she was living in one zip code when she really was not. Okay. And she ended up going to prison. She ended up actually doing 9 days in prison. HuffingtonPost.com has an article about this as well. So we'll talk some about that. Okay. So how's everybody doing? Share this broadcast on your Facebook page. Invite your friends to tune in also. And if you like this type of information, you can donate to the African History Network, paypal.me/the AHN show, paypal.me/the AHN show, or at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, broadcast our Sunday night show, helps pay when I have to go out of town and speak at different events, helps cover the cost of travel, etc. All right. Okay, so let's look at this article from the Washington Post. Washington Post has a good article today, and they updated it a couple of times. Felicity Huffman gets 14 days in jail in college admission scandal. Felicity Huffman gets 14 days in jail in college admission scandal. All right. So actress Felicity Huffman, who co-starred in Desperate Housewives on ABC, was sentenced Friday, September 13th, 2019. So I guess Friday the 13th was unlucky for her. Okay. Even though Friday the 13th being unlucky is a superstition, and look up the term frigatriskaidekaphobia. Frigatriskaidekaphobia is the fear of Friday the 13th. Okay, and that has some history behind it, and I need to do a separate broadcast dealing with that, because I've studied it. I've dealt with that back in 2014 in one of my shows. Why people think Friday the 13th is unlucky. And frigatriskaidekaphobia is the fear of Friday the 13th. Triskaidekaphobia is the fear of the number 13. All right. So this was unlucky for her, okay, and her family. But actress Felicity Huffman was sentenced Friday, September 13th to 2 weeks in jail for paying $15,000 in a conspiracy to inflate the SAT scores of her older daughter, a punishment that sets a benchmark for what other accused parents could face in the college admission bribery scandal. Now, there were 51 people charged in this admission scandal. 34 of them were parents. Now, Felicity Huffman, who starred in the television series Desperate Housewives on ABC, had pleaded guilty in May of 2019 to one count of conspiring to commit mail fraud, and honest services mail fraud. She was the first to be sentenced among 15 wealthy parents who have admitted guilt in the scam known as Varsity Blues. And this was an FBI investigation called Operation Varsity Blues. Okay. And, African Americans, because of our history and a history of us being spied on by the FBI infiltrating various organizations, counterintelligence program, COINTELPRO created August 1967. We have legitimate concerns, legitimate apprehension of the FBI. These type of investigations that the FBI have, I want to see more of these. I like this right here. This is, I can get with this. Okay. We need more of these from the FBI. All right. So, so she was sentenced. She was the first to be sentenced among 15 wealthy parents who have admitted guilt in the scam known as Operation Varsity Blues. Now, U.S. District Judge Indira Talwani, Talwani, Indira Talwani, also sentenced Felicity Huffman to a year of supervised release, 250 hours of community service, and a $30,000 fine. Okay. Now, people have to understand her attorneys were arguing for her not to do any time, not to do any time in prison, and to do community service and maybe a fine. The prosecution was asking for 30 days. Okay, in jail. All right. She ended up getting 14 days in jail. All right. And she cried at the sentencing. Okay. And, that doesn't mean anything to me. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. You should have thought about that when you were paying to have your daughter's test scores or SAT scores changed. All right. And one of the really appalling things about this is that these are parents of wealth and privilege. So you can hire all the tutors for your children. You can enroll them in all of the SAT prep courses, ACT prep courses, enroll them in all types of summer camps and things like this. But with all of your wealth and access, you still felt the need to pay to cheat. Okay, so that's one of the things that's so appalling when it comes to this whole investigation. All right, let's continue. How's everybody doing? Okay, so Felicity Huffman's sentence gave federal prosecutors a victory in their quest to send a message that famous and powerful parents who used money in an illicit scheme to break the rules of college admissions should pay a price that includes time behind bars. All right. Now, attorney Monique Presley, you see Monique Presley on Roland Martin's show once a week. And, I know Monique. I met Monique through Roland when I used to guest host Roland Martin's national radio show. I used to guest host his national radio show a lot. So Monique, I remember in a different case, and Monique is an attorney. I remember a different case. Monique was saying that she's totally against, this is not an attack on Monique, it's my girl, but she was saying she's totally against people in general, people being sentenced to prison, time in prison for nonviolent offenses. Okay. And in general, I can understand that, but if Kelly Williams Bowler, who's African-American and was a poor African-American woman, if she was sentenced to 9 days in prison and she didn't cheat on test scores, she didn't pay $15,000 in bribes, anything like this, she ended up doing 9 days in prison, in jail. Felicity Huffman should go to jail also. Okay. So I was happy when I heard this, okay, because this sends a clear message that you still are going to be held accountable even though you are wealthy, even though you may not be African-American, you may be white, you may be a celebrity, you have celebrity friends, because she had some of her celebrity friends send in letters talking about what a good person she was and things like this, right? Okay, but what about someone like Kelly Williams Bowler, who doesn't have celebrity friends, and they can't be character witnesses? So let's see here. Okay, so the scandal, Operation Varsity Blues, which broke in March of 2019, has rocked higher education, exposing vulnerabilities in testing and admissions, and sparking questions about fairness. Now, at the same time, you have efforts from the right wing to remove race as being a factor that can be considered in college admissions. They want to shut down affirmative action when it comes to admissions. They don't want race to be a factor, things like this. But however, the same people don't have a problem with you being admitted into a college because your father went to the same college or your mother went to the same college. They don't have a problem with you getting points on your application for that. Okay. Or you being admitted to the college because your grandfather or your father donated $100,000 to the college, okay, or built a building for the college. They don't have a problem with that. They don't have a problem with legacy, or they don't have a problem with your parents donating money to the college and you being admitted, okay. But they have a problem with something like when it comes to race being considered as one of the factors for admission. I just find the whole thing hypocritical and ridiculous. So the scandal, which broke in March, has rocked higher education, exposing vulnerabilities in testing and admissions, and sparking questions about fairness. It also illuminated the lengths some wealthy parents will go to in trying to give their children an edge in the annual frenzy to get into selective colleges and universities. Okay, so the colleges and universities that were involved in this scandal included Georgetown. Let me see here, which were the Yale, Georgetown, Stanford, University of South Carolina. Those were a few of them. Okay, so as Felicity Huffman faced the judge, okay, she broke into tears in a statement of apology to colleges, the court, her family, other students, and especially her older daughter, who was unaware of the fraud as it was unfolding in 2017 and 2018. Her daughter was not charged with any wrongdoing. Now, we have seen some of the colleges involved in this scandal kick some of the children out, or some of the students out whose parents were involved in the bribery scandal. Okay, even though I think in some of the cases the children didn't know that their parents were involved in it. Okay, but whether you knew or not, you should still be kicked out because you were admitted on false pretenses. Okay, so if they were African American, I guarantee you those students would be kicked out. So kick them out also. Okay, now you can reapply, but you were admitted on false pretenses. Your test scores were fake, or you got a scholarship for a sport that you didn't play. Okay, all this was fraud. Okay, so if it was one of us, they would have kicked us out, and they would have our pictures all in the newspaper, all on social media. Okay, things like that. Kick them out also. All right. Now, Felicity Huffman said, quote, "I could only say I'm sorry." She said, mentioning her daughter's name in court, "I was frightened, I was stupid, and I was wrong. I was deeply ashamed of what I'd done." Okay. Were you ashamed when you were doing it? Were you ashamed when you were planning it? Were you ashamed when you paid the $15,000? At what point did you become so ashamed? Now, Eric S. Rosen, an assistant U.S. attorney, pressed the judge to send Felicity Huffman to prison for 30 days. The prosecutor dismissed Felicity Huffman's explanation about her state of mind as she was committing the crime. Okay, so she wanted to plead insanity or something like that. Okay, or did she want to plead what is it called? Affluenza. Did she want to plead affluenza? Okay. Well, guess what? Obamacare covers pre-existing conditions, so we can take care of affluenza. Right now, prosecutor Eric S. Rosen told the court, quote, "She told you the crime resulted from the bewilderment, anxiety, and insecurity of being a mom." She told you the crime resulted from the bewilderment, anxiety, and insecurity of being a mom. We have no doubt of her we have no doubt of her sincerity. But with all due respect to the defendant, welcome to parenthood. Now, the punishment that Judge Talwani chose for actress Felicity Huffman could influence perceptions of what sentences should or will be delivered to others convicted in an extraordinary scandal that has shaken public confidence in college admissions. 51 people, including 34 parents, have been charged. 19 of the accused parents, including actress Lori Loughlin from Full House and Fuller House, and her husband, fashion designer Massimo Giannulli, are fighting the charges. Daniel Medwed, M-E-D-W-E-D, Daniel Medwed, a law professor at Northeastern University, said Felicity Huffman, her sentence, quote, "will help set the market," end quote, for Varsity Blues prosecutions, Operation Varsity Blues. He went on to say other judges and other lawyers and other defendants are going to be looking at the Huffman outcome as a gauge. All right. Now, former federal prosecutor Daniel Richmond, a professor at Columbia Law School, said the sentence is likely to ignite debate. Quote, "Both those who think the conduct here shouldn't have been prosecuted and those concerned about special treatment for the privileged are bound to be dissatisfied," end quote, he said. Okay. Now, all the question I've had, if you don't think it should have been prosecuted, what do you think would have happened if these were poor African Americans or poor Hispanics? What do you think would have happened if you don't think this should have been prosecuted? Of course, this has to be prosecuted. Okay. Because if it's not prosecuted, they're going to keep doing it. Now, in March of 2019, the U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts, Andrew Lelling, L-E-L-L-I-N-G, disclosed the stunning bribery and cheating scheme to subvert the college admissions process. All right. So the mastermind behind all of this, and I did a broadcast back in March when this story broke. So go back and watch that. It's on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. Also on our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, I-M-H-O-T-E-P. William Rick Singer, an admissions consultant in California, acknowledged orchestrating illicit efforts to help the children of his clients obtain phony SAT and ACT scores and use fabricated athletic credentials to pose in the application process as recruits for sports such as tennis, water polo, and soccer. Okay, so they were getting their children scholarships for sports their children didn't even play. William Rick Singer pitched himself as an insider who could conjure up a desirable test score and access the side door, quote unquote, side door to schools such as the University of South Carolina and Yale University, Stanford, and Georgetown universities. William Rick Singer pleaded guilty to racketeering conspiracy and other crimes and cooperated with investigators. He has not been sentenced yet. All right. So Felicity Huffman was accused of participating in the test rigging part of the scam, but not the athletic recruiting deception. All right. So what happened was, so Huffman is 56, lives in Los Angeles. She won an Emmy in 2005 for her portrayal of Lynette Scavo in the ABC television series Desperate Housewives. She has had numerous other credits in television and film and is married to actor William H. Macy. He was not charged in the scandal. You saw him next to her today at the trial and going in and out of court, right? So here's what she was charged with. Prosecutors say Felicity Huffman arranged with William Rick Singer in 2017 to obtain an inflated SAT score for her older daughter by having a proctor manipulate the answer. So a proctor is the person, when you go take these standardized tests, the proctor is the person there who administers the test, checks and makes sure you're not cheating. But in this case, the proctor was cheating. All right, that's the proctor. Okay, so prosecutors say Huffman arranged with William Rixinger in 2017 to obtain an inflated SAT score for her older daughter by having a proctor manipulate the answers. In February 2018, Huffman paid William Rixinger controlled charity, paid a singer-controlled charity $15,000 to reimburse him for bribes that put their plan into motion. Her daughter obtained a score, ACT score of 1420 out of a maximum of 1600 on the SAT score of 1420 out of 1600. Now, in sentencing recommendation filed last week, prosecutors argued that prison time for Felicity Huffman is essential to send a message. I agree. The prison time is essential to send a message, because I bet you people will think twice before they do that, before they do this again. Quote, in the context of this case, the prosecutor wrote, neither probation nor home confinement in a large home in the Hollywood Hills with an infinity pool will constitute meaningful punishment or deter others from committing similar crimes. When they find out they're going to go to prison, they're going to go to jail, even if it's 14 days, you're away from your family 14 days. When they find out they're going to go to jail for 14 days or 30 days, they're going to think twice before doing this, okay? Now, Huffman's attorney, Martin F. Murphy, and Julia Amherheim, Amherheim, contended that prison time was not warranted. They noted that Felicity Huffman paid far less than other parents charged in the scheme and did not attempt to participate in the elaborate manufacturing of fraudulent athletic portfolios that others used to target admissions offices at prominent universities. They also pointed out that Felicity Huffman chose not to purchase a fraudulent test score for her younger daughter, even though she considered doing so, okay? So, but I mean, I think she got off easy with 14 days in prison, in jail. I think she got off easy. All right, now, prosecutors have recommended up to 15 months of incarceration for 10 other parents who pleaded guilty. Factors influencing those recommendations, prosecutors said, were the amount of the bribes paid by each parent, their degree of participation in the scheme, and whether the parent repeated the scam. Judge Talwani, on the federal bench, who's been on the federal bench since 2014, is scheduled to sentence those 10 other parents in the coming weeks. Among them are several who, like Felicity Huffman, participated only in the test cheating scam. All right, so they didn't claim that their child was playing a sport that they didn't play and trying to get a scholarship, a water polo scholarship. Because there was one case where there was fraud in a picture that was submitted of the child playing water polo, and this child didn't even play water polo, and they got a water polo scholarship. All right, so in delivering Felicity Huffman's sentence, the judge criticized the admissions process for providing extra advantages to well-off students. Okay, let me repeat this. In delivering Felicity Huffman's sentence, the judge criticized the admissions process for providing extra advantages to well-off students. Judge Talwani cited preferences for children of alumni, the, quote, incredibly high percentage of spots that go to families in the top 20% of income brackets, end quote, and the high rate of additional time granted for tests taken by wealthier versus lower income students. One of the things that when you study this, I'm gonna give you another article from the New York Times back when this story broke. One of the things they were doing was one parent, and there may have been more than one parent, but I know at least one case, one parent had their child to fake a mental illness so that their child could get more time to take the ACT test. They had their child to fake a mental illness so the child could get more time to take the ACT test. Now, you know, back when I was studying this case, back when the story broke in March, I didn't know that if you had some type of mental illness or something, you could get more time to take the ACT test. I didn't even know this. So here you have these wealthy people, and they are manipulating loopholes that the average person doesn't even know exists. So this is why, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. I have no problem with her going to jail. All right. So Judge Tawani noted that the system, quote, is already so distorted by money and privilege, end quote. Then the judge chided Felicity Huffman for trying to give her daughter an unfair advantage. The judge said, quote, in a system of that sort, in that context, you took the step of obtaining one more advantage to put your child ahead of theirs, end quote, the judge said. Now, you have to ask the question, right? How dumb is this girl that her parents got to spend money to help her get a higher SAT score? They got to go through all this to get her child accepted. How dumb is this child? It's just a legitimate question. Why wouldn't you spend the money to enroll your child in a ACT prep course? Why wouldn't you spend the money to have special programs during the summer, things like this? I don't understand this. So the judge ordered Felicity Huffman to surrender to authorities October 25th. So she actually has to report to prison by October 25th. Judge Tawani told Huffman she will ask authorities to incarcerate her in a relatively low security facility near her California home. Okay, so I guess it's easier for friends and family to come visit her. All right, maybe they'll put some money on her books. Maybe they'll put some money on her books. Now Huffman was accompanied at the sentencing by her husband, actor William H. Macy. The first sentence in the Varsity Blues case was seen as a setback for prosecutors. Former Stanford University sailing coach John Vandermoyer, who had pleaded guilty to racketeering conspiracy, was sentenced back in June of 2019 to 1 day of incarceration for his role in the scandal. But they got a better sentence here. All right, with Felicity Huffman. So check out this article from WashingtonPost.com. Okay, and we'll post a link here. You can read the full article from the Washington Post. But this is really an interesting case here. Now, I went back and pulled out an article that I read back that came out March 12, 2019. And this is right after the story broke. This is from the New York Times. Here's how the FBI says parents cheated to get their kids into elite colleges. Okay. And so this article went through and really broke down the severity of the cheating scandal. All right. So this is from March 12, 2019. The scheme was as brazen as it was elaborate. Dozens of wealthy parents, according to court documents, paid millions of dollars in bribes to secure the admission of their children into elite universities. Test scores were inflated, essays were falsified, and photographs were doctored, all in an illicit effort to gain entry to schools such as Yale University, the University of Southern California, and Georgetown University. All right. So William Singer, who's the mastermind of this whole scheme, he's the founder of the Edge College, EDGE, the Edge College and Career Network, the Edge College and Career Network. And he said this in a phone call with a parent he was helping to cheat, according to the charging documents. He said that we help the wealthiest families in the U.S. get their kids into school. This is what he said. This was part of the evidence. He said he was talking to one of the wealthy parents, and he said, quote, "We help the wealthiest families in the U.S. get their kids into school," end quote. Now, he went on to say, there is a front door, which means you get in on your own. So he's talking about how to get admitted into college. Okay. He's breaking this down for this wealthy parent. He said there is a front door, which means you get in on your own. The back door is through institutional advancement, which is 10 times as much money. And I've created the side door in, So his whole racket, right? Paying proctors to manipulate test scores, doctoring photos to get your children scholarships for sports they don't play. This is a side door that he created for wealthy families to get their children enrolled into elite colleges. So here's how William Singer helped dozens of parents, including high-profile actors and wealthy business leaders, get their children into top schools according to the charging documents. All right. Parents claimed their children had learning disabilities. Parents claimed their children had learning disabilities. So when I went through, if you go back and watch the broadcast I did back during March 2019, I go and break all this stuff down. This is one of the articles that I cited because I went through and read this stuff, man. This stuff was just blowing my mind what they were doing. Okay. William Singer would instruct parents to seek special circumstances for their children to take the SAT or ACT. These are required standardized tests to be admitted to a four-year university, right? So parents would use medical documentation to claim their children had learning disabilities. Parents would use medical documentation to claim their children had a learning disability. The students would then be given a chance to take the test in a room with only a proctor, and sometimes over the course of 2 days. So because they're faking that they have a learning disability, they're getting special circumstances and more time to take the test. Now, I wonder if an African-American child who's in Chicago, Detroit, who had a brother or a sister who was the victim of gun violence and they're suffering from PTSD, do they qualify to get more time on the SAT or ACT test? I'm just asking. PTSD is a mental disorder. Do they get more time on the ACT or SAT test? Then they would sign up to have the exams at either a public high school in Houston, Texas, or a private college prep school in West Hollywood. These were two locations that William Singer said he controlled because the proctors who he's paying work at these two locations. He had an elaborate scheme that he concocted, right? So Singer would tell clients to come up with a reason they would be in Houston, Texas, or Hollywood, California, West Hollywood, such as for a bar mitzvah or a wedding. Okay, that's what he said. All right. So then you had, then another part of the scheme was you had stand-ins that were paid to cheat on standardized tests. So parents paid between $15,000 to $75,000 to William Singer's company so their children could be helped in one of three ways. One, someone else would take the SAT or ACT exams for the student, okay? Two, a person would serve as the proctor and guide the student to the right answers. Or three, someone would review and correct the student's answers after the tests were taken. How dumb are these kids? Now, in one case, according to the charging documents, Desperate Housewives actress Felicity Huffman, I guess she was pretty desperate, told William Singer her daughter's high school had its own exam proctor in mind, okay? Now, in many cases, the students were not aware of the cheating, all right? Now, Elizabeth Kimmel, Kimmel, the owner of a media company, used William Singer's services twice, first for her daughter in 2012 and then for her son in 2017, according to the documents. Her daughter attended Georgetown University as a purported tennis recruit, and her son was accepted to the University of South Carolina as a track and field pole vaulter. But he was caught off guard during orientation. Now, handwriting samples were provided. According to the documents, Jane Buckingham, who owns a boutique marketing firm in Los Angeles, California, agreed to pay $50,000 to William Singer's company so that someone other than her son would take the ACT test. You pay $50,000. How dumb is your son that you got to pay $50,000 to have somebody else take his ACT test? How much was a prep course for the ACT? Say your son had to take the prep course like 5 times. Okay? It'd have been cheaper for your son to take the prep course for the ACT 5 times, and you wouldn't be facing charges. And you still have some money left over. Okay? But Jane Buckingham agreed to pay $50,000 to William Singer's company so that someone other than her son could take the ACT test. I hope that person was smarter than your son. But the proctor would need to write the essay portion in a handwriting that mimicked her son's. So she had to provide a handwriting sample of her son so the proctor could mimic the... I mean, wouldn't it just been easier for your son just to study for the damn test? You know, because that's what black kids have to do. I mean, wouldn't it just be easier for your son to study for the test? I mean, they have books to help, with the ACT. They have prep classes for this. Okay, I'm sure at your son's school, they probably may have even have free prep classes. Okay, but even you have to pay for it. All this stuff would have been cheaper than what you're dealing with now. All right, so now university coaches and administrators were paid to secure admission. Now, according to the charging documents, after the exams were scored high enough so that the students became competitive applicants, the parents paid bribes structured as donations to the university and funneled through the key, to university coaches who would identify their children as athletic recruits. All right. So they would structure the bribes as donations. But here's the thing. When you research this case, some of the parents then on their taxes recorded the bribes as donations on their taxes. That's tax fraud. So students' faces were photoshopped on athletes' bodies. I mean, this is the type of FBI investigation I like. We need more FBI investigations like this. Okay. This is what the FBI should be doing. FBI should investigate terrorists. FBI should investigate white supremacist organizations. There are about 850 investigations the FBI has into white supremacist neo-Nazi groups. Okay, they should do that, and they should investigate stuff like this. Okay, I'm all for this. All right. Students' faces were photoshopped onto athletes' bodies. A doctored image of the daughter of Augustine Huneeus Jr., Huneeus, the owner of several vineyards in Napa and elsewhere, was edited onto a picture of a water polo player and described as a varsity athlete who had earned a team MVP according to the charging documents. Okay, and then they have an excerpt of the charging documents, number 234. It says, on or about September 20th, 2018, CW1 sent Heinel, Heinel, an email that included Huneeus' daughter's high school transcripts, her fraudulent ACT score, and a fabricated athletic profile that falsely identified her as a 3-year varsity letter winner. A 3-year varsity letter winner in water polo and team MVP in 2017, along with the following photograph, which is of another individual. Okay, so they Photoshop. They had a doctored image of her daughter, of his daughter, and it's an image of this person playing water polo, and they're passing this off as his daughter to get a scholarship playing water polo. Athletic accomplishments were faked. Now, in many cases, bogus achievements were added to college applications. In one case, the document showed a teenage girl who did not play soccer was identified as a star player. She didn't play soccer, and she was identified as a star player on the soccer team. In her application, she was described as the co-captain of a prominent club soccer team in Southern California and was accepted as a recruit for the women's soccer team at Yale University. Now, payments were disguised as charitable donations. Payments were disguised as charitable donations. After acceptance into their chosen universities, according to details outlined in the charging documents, the parents would make significant payments to William Singer's company. The payments, often hundreds of thousands of dollars, were disguised as donations and would be funneled through the organization to the universities, the charging documents said, allowing the parents to claim tax deductions. That's tax fraud also. Okay. So this is the scam they were running. This is the scam they were running. So, I don't feel sorry if all of them go to prison. All of them go to jail. I don't feel sorry for them if all of them don't do the crime if you can't do the time. All right. And you can stand up on the witness. You can stand in court and cry all you want to. Okay. At what point did you realize this was wrong? At what point did you feel remorse? All right. So I don't have any sympathy for them. Now for the children, for the children who didn't know their parents were scheming and getting them into school and they didn't have anything to do with it, I feel a little sorry for them. But I would ask the question, well, wait a second, you knew you weren't that smart. So how'd you think you got it? How'd you think you got scholarships? How'd you think you got admitted? You knew you weren't that smart. Okay. So I would ask that question. All right. So let's see. Everybody share this broadcast on your Facebook page. So we have Mimi, LaDonna, Cheria, Jade. Hey, how you doing, Jade? Jade and I will be at the All Black National Convention, September 27th through the 29th in Houston, Texas. All Black National Convention that Dr. Boyce Watkins puts on. All right. So if you like this type of information, also donate to the African History Network, paypal.me/the AHN show, paypal.me/the AHN show. That helps cover expenses when I have to travel out of town and speak at events right now. Okay, like the All Black National Convention. PayPal.me/the AHN show, or at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Helps us cover expenses, helps us to keep doing the research, do my Sunday night show, the African History Network show, pay the bills, etc. Also, all of my DVD lectures are at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have bundle packs there. We have the Black Migration 1619 to 2019 6 DVD bundle pack. And then also we have Hidden Colors 5, The Art of Black Warfare. For each copy you purchase a Hidden Colors 5, you get 3 of my digital downloads included with it free, 3 presentations in digital download form, including 6 principles of political self-defense, how laws and policies impact the economic conditions of African Americans. Okay. All right. I want to go to this other article from NBC News, just in case there was something I did not get here. But, this is a really, really interesting case. I want to see what happens with the other people who are being charged. Okay. So her daughter's name is Sophia Grace. Okay. In the article from the Washington Post, I don't think they mentioned her name, but they mentioned her name in NBC News. So we'll mention her name here because they mentioned her name in NBC News, right? Daughter's name, Huffman 56, pleaded guilty to mail fraud and honest services fraud in May of 2017 for paying $15,000 to college fixer Rick Singer to cheat on daughter Sophia Grace Macy's SAT in 2017. She said, "I'm so sorry, Sophia. I was frightened, I was stupid, and I was so wrong. I'm deeply ashamed of what I've done." Now, Huffman paid someone to proctor and correct Sophia Grace Macy's test, which resulted in her score jumping 400 points above her PSAT performance to 1420 out of a possible 1620. Prosecutors wanted Felicity Huffman to spend a month in prison to go along with supervised release and a $20,000 fine. And let me switch over to the one here from NBC News, okay, because I printed it up also. Now, prosecutor Eric Rosen, okay, told Judge Telwani at Friday's sentencing, quote, "Most parents have the moral compass not to lie, but the defendant did not. this was not a blunder or a mistake. This was not a blunder or a mistake. And where is that? Hold on. Here we go, right here. This was not a blunder or a mistake. This was intentional criminal conduct that took place over 16 months. Okay. Now, Prosecutor Eric Rosen said, quote, in prison, there is no paparazzi. Everyone is the same. Everyone wears the same clothes. He said, while praising her skills as an actress and ability to find future work, quote, prison is the ultimate leveler, end quote. Okay. Now, her defense attorney, Martin Murphy, said she knew what she did was wrong and her moral compass allowed her to realize that. He noted that Huffman's daughter is not going to any school next year. Okay. But when did her moral compass kick in? You know, was it like a GPS, like lost signal, can't find signal, trying to reconnect? Okay. When did her moral compass kick in? Now, probation officials said the government was incorrect in setting Huffman's sentencing range at 4 to 9 months, because the amount of money she paid should not be a factor in her sentencing. Okay. But Huffman should instead be subject to the lowest sentencing guidelines of 0 prison time to 6 months, according to the probation report. All right. Well, she got 14 days. I mean, she should just charge that to the game and consider herself lucky. So Felicity Huffman even questioned why FBI agents, the judge, Judge Talwani, was leaning against sending Huffman to prison at first, repeating elements of the probation report. All right. She even questioned why FBI agents had their guns drawn and needed to go into Huffman's home to make the arrest. And let me try to find this here. Hold on. Okay. She said, I don't know why, and the judge said, I don't know why an arrest with guns in her case was necessary, even more than I understand why an arrest with guns is necessary in many cases. It's really a side issue and not an ideal way for things to proceed, but that is not for today, the judge said. Okay, let's see here. And Huffman, I can't remember if I said this or not, but Huffman said she especially wanted to apologize to the students who work hard every day to get into college, and to their parents who make tremendous sacrifices supporting their children. Okay, she said, quote, I can promise you that in the months and years to come, let's see here. I can promise you in the months and years to come that I will try and live a more honest life, serve as a better role model for my daughters and family, and continue to contribute my time and energies wherever I am needed. My hope now is that my family, my friends, and my community will forgive me for my actions, end quote. Okay, interesting. I wonder if she's going to teach like acting classes in prison. You're going to do drama workshops, things like that. I'm just curious. All right, let's see who we have here. How's everybody doing? Okay, share this broadcast on your Facebook page. Invite your friends to tune in also. If we look at Kelly Williams-Bowler case, because a lot of people were comparing this to Kelly Williams-Bowler. So when this story came out back in March of 2019, thehill.com had an article from March 14th, 2019. So the article that I broke down from New York Times, that's March 12th, 2019. Here's how the FBI says parents cheated to get their kids into elite colleges. Thehill.com, which is a good political publication, political website, news website. They had an article from March 14th, 2019. Story of mother sentenced to jail for enrolling child in different district resurfaced amid college scandal. So a lot of people, a lot of African-American media, Roland Martin talked about this on Roland Martin Unfiltered, on thegrio.com, news1.com. They were comparing these cases to Kelly Williams Bowler. And this article from The Hill says the story of a Black mother who served jail time for using her father's address so her two daughters could enroll at a better school gained new attention on social media this week as news of a widespread college admissions scandal broke. Kelly Williams Bowler, B-O-L-A-R, served 9 days in jail in 2011 after she was found guilty of using her father's address instead of her own in an attempt to have her daughters enroll in a better school district than the Akron, Ohio one they were slated to attend. Okay, and Huffington Post has a more extensive article on this also that The Hill cited. Kelly Williams Bowler was also put on probation for 3 years and required to complete 80 hours of community service. She said, quote, "It's overwhelming. I'm exhausted." She said after her sentencing, according to ABC News, "I did this for them. So there it is. I did this for them." All right. So once again, Felicity Huffman, to me, I was really insulted when her defense attorneys were asking for 0 time in jail. When Kelly Williams Bowler had to do, she was sentenced like to either 11 or 15 days. She ended up doing 9 days in jail. Okay. So I was like, look, you need to take those 30 days and just charge that to the gang. She lucked up and got 14. Okay. So she should just do those and be quiet and be happy. Now, Kelly Williams Bowler's story resurfaced after more than 40 people were charged in a college enrollment scandal where wealthy parents, including actresses Felicity Huffman and Lori Loughlin, paid thousands of dollars to get their children into elite and highly selective colleges. Several social media users were quick to point out the discrepancy in media attention paid to Williams Bowler's story compared to that of high-profile Hollywood actresses, pointing out that Huffman and Loughlin should serve time in jail as well. Okay, so now Lori Loughlin, Aunt Becky, okay, from Full House and on Fuller House, she didn't plead guilty. She is that case is going to trial. Okay, she should be a little nervous right about now. Okay, she should be a little nervous right about now. All right, so check out this article from thehill.com, and then also there was one from Huffington Post. Kelly Williams Bowler, Ohio mother convicted of felony for lying to get kids into better school. All right, so check this one out as well. And actually, Boyce Watkins was this was back when Boyce was a finance professor at Syracuse University. He was actually quoted in this article. He spoke to Headline News and he was quoted. He said, "I felt that the sentence was draconian and really the case of Kelly Williams Bowler. It's such a microcosm of everything that is wrong with America when it comes to access to educational quality, when it comes to economic inequality, and when it comes to inequality in the criminal justice system." Okay, so check out these articles also here. Let me go to some of your comments here. An African-American business owner, say, post the name of your business here on the thread of the broadcast. We'll let you know how you can advertise with the African History Network. Email us at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com, customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com. Our current promotion is get 3 months for the price of 1. It's going on for a few more days. Customer service at africanhistorynetwork.com. Current promotion, get 3 months for the price of 1. All right, let me look at some of your comments here. Then also, okay, I forgot to tell you all, be sure to register for the online course that I teach Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. This is a 8-week, 16-hour online course that I teach dealing with thousands of years of history. And we deal with chronologically what led up to the transatlantic slave trade happening. We deal with about 50,000 years of history. And we also deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors, okay? And what the Moors take into Europe and how the Moors take the teachings from ancient Kemet or ancient Egypt into Europe, and this brings Europe out of the Dark Ages and is going to lead to the transatlantic slave trade happening. So even though there's a lot of good information in the 1619 project, and here's the actual full insert, the insert from the New York Times 1619 project. It has all the articles here that they have at New York Times. Even though they have some good information here, it's not complete. They don't talk a lot about the Spanish taking Africans into South Carolina in 1526, enslaved Africans in South Carolina in 1526. This is 93 years before August 20th in Point Comfort in Virginia. Those 20 and odd Africans, and they don't deal with the African presence in this country going back tens of thousands of years, as Dr. David Imhotep talks about in his book, The First Americans Were Africans, Documented Evidence, okay? That documents the African presence in South America going back at least 56,000 years ago. In this country, this land we call the United States of America, going back at least 51,700 years ago. Okay, so these were the Khoisan, who were the short-statured people. They come from Southern Africa. They go all around the world, ancestors to the Ainu and the Twa. So this is just totally left out, okay, of the history. So we have to understand, even though the transatlantic slave trade did happen, this was our land stolen from us. We were here tens of thousands of years before Native Americans even come into existence. So this is why you have to look at not the last 500 years of history, you have to look at the last 50,000 years of history. Okay, so we posted the link here. You can register for the online course. It's regularly $130, on sale $80. We do the classes live Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you miss anything, you can go back and watch it over and over again. So as soon as you register, you can watch classes 1 through 4. And there's about 36 hours of bonus content also. All right. Okay, so let me look at some of your comments here. We've got Robert, 30 days in county jail. That's not prison. Yeah, that's county jail. Now, if you ain't never been to jail, it may seem like prison to you. If you ain't never been to jail, but it's county jail, not prison. Everybody's moral compass kicks in when they get caught. Sharia said, Charia said, yeah, I agree. Yeah, when they get caught, that's when their moral compass kicks in. Just like with Michael Cohen, Donald Trump's attorney for 10 years, doing all Donald Trump's dirt. Now, he came clean in the end. The second time he was in front of Congress. First time he was in front of Congress, he lied. He came clean at the end when he got caught and sentenced to prison and all this stuff, right? His moral compass kicked in, all right? But he's cooperating with the district attorney, I think it's in New York, because the story just came out last couple of days as well. So Cohen is really going to be a huge problem for Donald Trump, because Cohen knows all the dirt Trump's been doing financially. And when if you go back and look at the testimony, read articles about his testimony, the second time he testified in front of Congress, his testimony led to other congressional investigations, and them them getting subpoenas for Trump's financial records and dealing with his loans with Deutsche Bank and things like this, because Michael Cohen testified that Trump inflates the value of his assets on bank loans. Okay, that's fraud. That's a felony. Okay, that's fraud. Okay, so Robert Dietra. Okay, how you doing, Dietra? Mimi, they need to make every student whose parents paid for them to get admitted to take the test again. Okay, that's being nice. I'll kick their asses out and say you can reapply next year or something like that. That's what I would do. I would definitely like to see what her grades are looking like. Okay. She should be under the jail, Jade said. I think she's talking about Felicity Huffman. Tanisha, okay. Rhonda, they would have got the 5 years like the black lady who sent her kids to the wrong school. Yeah, so that was another case. That was another case of Tanya McDowell, who she originally got 12 years. And I think that was a more complicated case than the one of Kelly Williams Bolar. Okay, because in this one, Tanya McDowell was also dealing drugs and things like this. So there was some other factors involved in it. Okay, I'm not saying she should have gotten that amount of time, but there were some other factors involved in it. So that's a different case than Kelly Williams Bolar. The article from thehill.com talks about Tanya McDowell as well. They don't have a they don't go in depth into her case. I was reading another article dealing with her. Let me try to pull something up. But yeah, that's a different case. Tanya McDowell School District. Let's see here. Cops bust homeless woman for sending child to school. In NBC, Connecticut. Oh yeah, okay. So there was an article I was reading earlier today from YahooNews.com that talked about Tanya McDowell as well. In 2011, Tanya McDowell, a homeless Bridgeport, Connecticut mom, was arrested and charged with first-degree larceny for enrolling her then 5-year-old son, Andrew, in school in neighboring Norwalk. Okay, Norwalk. Tanya McDowell at the time said she and her son were able to sleep at an apartment in Bridgeport, Connecticut at night, but during the day had to leave and lived in her van or at shelters. McDowell also had prior drug charges. A police source who worked on McDowell's drug case told refinery29.com, which is a news site, once she was picked up for dealing drugs to an undercover officer, once she was picked up for dealing drugs to an undercover officer again after her arrest for the school larceny, she lost a lot of community support. Okay, so she was already dealing with the school larceny charge. Okay, school larceny charge, and then she was picked up for selling drugs to an undercover officer. All right. So, but many people were saying, well, she was probably selling drugs, not because she wanted to, but just trying to survive and provide for her children. Because basically, you know, during the daytime, they're living in a van. Okay. All right. So it was, and a quote, it was an unfortunate thing that happened with the education. I'm pretty sure she wasn't the only one who got arrested at the time. Who said this? Okay, so whoever they were quoting said this. Yeah, I think she was just dealing drugs to support herself. Okay, so Rebecca J. Kavanaugh, a New York City public defender, told refinery29.com, while it is uncommon for parents to be arrested for sending their kids to a school outside their district, it does happen. Then they talk about Kelly Williams Bolar. And Kelly Williams Bolar, she was sentenced to 15 days in jail, ended up doing 9 days in jail. Okay, because that's where I saw the 15. So they talk about Kelly Williams Bolar as well. Tanya McDowell eventually took a plea and was sentenced to 5 years in prison for the charges connected to sending her son to school in the Norwalk School District. Quote, who would have thought that wanting a good education for my son would put me in this predicament, end quote. McDowell said at her sentencing for the drug charges, in which she got a 12-year suspended sentence plus 5 years probation. The sentences ran concurrently. She said, quote, I have no regret seeking a better education for him. I do regret my participation in the drug case. So for selling drugs to an undercover officer, she got a 12-year suspended sentence plus 5 years probation. But for sending her son to the wrong school, okay, she gets 5 years in prison. That doesn't make any sense. In a 2017 interview with The Hour, HOUR, after her release, Tanya McDowell said while she was in prison, her son lived with her mother and excelled in school. Quote, I would still do it all over again because I haven't been let down, end quote, she said. She went on to say, my son exceeded all of my expectations. At the time of the interview, McDowell still owed the school district money for her son's quote unquote stolen education. So not only did she have to go to prison, but she still has to pay the school district. I'm not sure the amount that she has to pay the school district. Okay. This whole thing I mean, this whole thing is ridiculous. All right, so check out the rest of this. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, so yeah. So when the Operation Varsity Blues scandal broke, then people started talking about Jared Kushner. Okay, because Jared Kushner was admitted to Harvard University after his father donated $2.5 million to Harvard. Okay, so you see I mean, this is dealing with, racism, and racism is a system of advantage and privilege distributed based upon race. And racism occurs when one race of people control the majority of the wealth, power, resources, privileges, benefits, access to education, access to opportunity, media, access to jobs, land, etc. And they use that to marginalize, subordinate, do harm to another race of people. So this is what I was talking about. Jared Kushner was admitted to Harvard after his father donated $2.5 million to Harvard. Okay. Yeah. So check out this article here from Yahoo News.com. Okay. This mom went to prison for enrolling her son in a school outside her district. This is from March 15th, 2019. So after the Operation Varsity Blues story broke, you started seeing a lot of articles, not just in African-American media, but in white media as well, showing a comparison between between these different cases like this and the way African-Americans are treated and the way white people are treated. Wealthy white people at that. So let's post this link here also. That was the other article I wanted to talk about. All right, how you doing, Maurice? All right, Mod Hotep. Edith, at least read out loud, not to yourself while we're looking at you. At least read, what are you talking about, Edith? I don't know what you're talking about. All right, here. Okay, we got Rhonda. All right, those in Oakland, California. I will be in Oakland, California the weekend of October 12th. I'm on the Black Agenda Tour with Michi X and Jice Johnson. Visit the blackagendaontour.com, the blackagendaontour.com for more information. And, I do, as part of that tour, I do a presentation dealing with 6 principles of political self-defense, how laws and policies impact the economic conditions of African Americans. And, I have my vendor table there, have DVD lectures, and I'm also on the panel. So I do a presentation and I'm on the panel as well. Those in Houston, Texas, and those going to the All Black National Convention, the weekend of Friday, September 27th through Sunday, September 29th, 2019. I'll be there that weekend. Houston, Texas, Dr. Boyce Watkins, Jade Arundel. Who else will be there? There'll be a bunch of people. George Frazier and I were in the Black Friday documentaries from director Rick Mathis. And Boyce Watkins is in one of those documentaries also. So I'll be on the panel that Sunday morning, 9:45 a.m., dealing with power and politics. I'll be on that panel. And I'll be there Saturday and Sunday. I'll have my DVD lectures also. So come check me out. If you want me to do a presentation for your group or organization, email me at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com, customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com, and we'll make it happen. All right. Okay, let's see here. And then also African-American business owners, email me at customerservice@africanhistorynetwork.com if you want to advertise with the African History Network. So people are trying to get in shape right now. There's still time left in the summer, and then even going into the fall, people want to get into shape. Thanksgiving will be here in a minute. Then Christmas, and people are always trying to watch their weight during Thanksgiving and Christmas. The Fast Life 28-day challenge can help you with this. Okay, so the Fast Life 28-day challenge is an online coaching program to help members tap into their body's natural ability to repair itself via fasting. In this 28-day challenge, They focus on utilizing fasting, whole foods, and movement to improve metabolic conditions such as obesity, high blood pressure, pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, and more. They also have a secret Facebook group. There are 3 coaches to help you throughout this 28-day process as well. Visit their website, tfl28.com. tfl28.com for the Fast Life 28-Day Challenge. They have a new group starting up soon. Let them know you found out about this from the African History Network. All right. Okay, look, everybody. Hey, look, we have to get out of here. Be sure to tune in Sundays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the African History Network show. So normally I'm in the studios at 9, 10 a.m. Superstation WFDF, but they've been playing Major League Baseball Sunday nights. It preempts my show. So that's why I haven't been in the studio. And I've been in and out of town. Last weekend I was in Pembroke, Illinois, for the State of the Black Race Conference. And then Sunday night, this past Sunday night, I did a broadcast dealing with the Labor Day's African American roots. So if you missed that, go back and watch that. But we will be broadcasting Sunday 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'll do it from this studio as opposed to the radio station studio. Okay, so still tune in. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Also, and follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network. Turn on notifications so you know when we go live. And on our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. Turn on subscribe there and turn on the notifications so you know when we go live as well. Okay. All right. Look, I have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right now it's correct wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. Remember, right now it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.